Over the past few weeks, all eyes have been on France, where farmers are scrambling to save their crops after a catastrophic frost has swept through the country. The French agricultural minister Julien Denormandie has described this as probably the greatest agronomic disaster of the early 21st century. But perhaps we should add a caveat to this statement. This is the greatest disaster so far, because one thing is clear: this is not a one off occurrence. Besides warming the vulnerable crops, the rows of fires that have been lining France's hills have also thrown light on the fact that climate change is very much no longer tomorrow's problem.
You've seen already the number of some extremes are increasing and are already affecting the agriculture in Europe. And this is projected to increase, in particular increase in the frequency, but also increasing in the magnitude of these, let's say, extremes. And these are like frosts, like we have seen in France in the couple of weeks ago. Droughts and water scarcity will become the problem in particular in the southern Europe, but not only in the southern Europe.
As one of the sectors that stands to lose the most in climate change, the question is, what can the sector do to help mitigate and adapt to this new reality? And what support is on offer for the sector to deal with these new kinds of crises?
We need to prepare the agriculture sector in order that is, of course, contributing to mitigating the climate change, in particular when we are talking about land management, but also not only the land management, which is mainly related to the production side, but also to the production of the food, consumption of the food, waste management, which is also a big problem when we are talking about contribution to climate change. On adaptation side, the agriculture, of course, needs to contribute to the resilience. On one hand, we need to make agriculture resilient, but also agriculture contributing to the resilience of the society to climate change. And when we are talking the climate smart agriculture, all these aspects, they need to be somehow included.
But what does it mean to be a carbon farmer?
So for a farmer, it means that you will benefit from the well-being of your fields, and the well-being of your fields is easy to increase by the regenerative farming methods, which are minimizing the tilling, trying to disturb the land as little as possible, try to support the microbes and their well-being, and maximize the green plant mass on the field, and try to cover the field with plants so that the erosion won't be taking away our precious upper layer of the soil, which is producing our food and our fibers. So we collect soil samples from the farms to measure the amount of carbon in the soil and the amount of microbe activity and so on. And I hope that we have been able to take away the distance between the research and the farmer, so that the researchers can learn from farmers and learn that what kind of methods really are realistic to do on the fields, that the researchers don't have any high-flying ideas anymore. They know that what we can do, bringing them together and trying to develop this model and this research together with the farmers by holding their hand, and they are holding ours, which is very nice and fruitful cooperation.
Of course, these kind of changes don't happen overnight, and as much as you can try to preempt crises, sometimes it's simply not possible. But what kind of support is on offer for farmers in the EU for climate crises?
The crisis reserve has not been used because member states do not want it. Somehow there is a mechanism obliging that if you use the crisis reserve, means that there is a direct cut in CAP payments. So it comes at a cost to use the crisis reserve. It's not free money. And that is the reason why the Parliament and the Member States do not want to activate the crisis reserve. The current structure of the CAP was thought on an static manner. Basically, where most of the payments would be redistributed to farmers via direct payments, assuming the world would be stable. This is not the case anymore. The world changed. The weather events are becoming less punctual, more concrete, more damaging, and so the CAP needs to adapt. What we need to do is to make sure that a reasonable part of this support, which is fixed and determined for agriculture, is used for managing risk for farmers rather than protecting their income.
What form the crisis fund will take in the future is as yet unclear, but one thing is sure. Climate change will have enormous ramifications on the way that we practice agriculture, both in the EU and elsewhere. Is enough being done to prepare for this new reality? Well, we'll know the answer to this question sooner rather than later.